Studio Arts and Glass, we've been in business for 33 years. We custom design and make stained glass windows. We do a lot of restoration work, start to finish, take the windows out of the church. We'll bring them back to the studio, dismantle the window, re-lead it with all new lead cane, solder, glaze it where we force the glazing cement into the lead channels and let it sit and cure for about 3 days. Then take the window back to the church and reinstall it. We do the whole process because we want to make sure it's done right from start to end. We do classes. It's not a big secret, stained glass, and a lot of studios treat it as a secret. They don't want to teach you how to do it. We have the other opinion, is we want you to know how to do this, then you know how difficult and time consuming it is. You'll appreciate our craft, our art, more when you know exactly what we do. I work with the architects, the designers, the clients, the churches, and then what I do is sell all the projects. The guys put it together. Anything we can draw, we can make into a stained glass window. In the gift shop are artists from all over the United States and Canada. We have a lot of hand-blown glass, handmade jewelry, anywhere from $10 up to $300–400. Things that are totally different that you're not going to see at a jewelry store, you're not going to see at a mall, because we really want that artistic piece that when somebody sees it, you're not going to see the same piece of jewelry on someone else. They also get to see my 4 dogs. There are greeters. They work for Milk Bones, and a lot of people will bring them bones when they come in. That's why they're all so chubby. My favorite part is seeing it lit up. When you have the light come through the window, you get the sparkle of the glass. It's just that color, that brilliance of the glass. Every project's different, and that's really what I really like doing, is doing things that are different that you're not going to see anywhere else. I'm Wendy Warren Joliet. I work at Studio Arts and Glass, and we started Studio Arts and Glass about 35 years ago. We do a lot of stained glass restoration. We work with churches, homes, state houses. We restored the stained glass of the Great Seal of Ohio for the state of Ohio about 20 years ago. We do a lot of restoration with churches. We'll go and we'll remove the stained glass windows from the church. We'll board up the openings. We have a couple different guys that do the dismantling process. Bob and Jimmy are two of our experts in dismantling windows. They will actually remove the stained glass windows from the openings in the churches, the homes, the abbey, the state houses. After we remove the stained glass windows, we put the windows on an easel in our truck, bring them back to the studio. We'll make a rubbing of each window, so when we dismantle the window by removing the old lead, we have an exact position that glass will go back into. So every piece of stained glass is in the exact original location it was when the window was made 100 years ago. And then we have Igor, Kirby, Corey, and Bob, who will reassemble the windows. And then we have Dominic, who actually glazes the window, where after Igor and Kirby have relatted the window, he will force the glazing cement underneath those lead channels. The window will sit for about 3 days and let that glazing really harden. Our final step in the restoration process is basically cleaning the window. The window has to be very, very clean before it goes in. Crystal gets the job of cleaning most of the windows and really making that glass sparkle. What sets us apart from other studios is, I think, really the care we give to the glass. We know that this glass was made by an artist 100 years ago, and we appreciate this. We're all artists here, and we appreciate the time it took to create that window. And so we really take a lot of loving care with the windows and to make sure the piece, when it goes back in, is even better and structurally better than it was originally. But we want to keep that artist who created the window, that integrity to the window.
The Abbey was started in 1927 by the Columbus Mausoleum Company. Well, the Columbus Mausoleum Company built mausoleums all over, but we think this was their showpiece. We're a two-story building, you know, with 4 Doric columns out front. We have carvings on the walls. We have almost 60 stained glass windows. You could tell it was kind of their showpiece, and they probably used it to help market other mausoleums around the state. It had its grand opening in May of 1929, and unfortunately, shortly thereafter, it started running into problems because, you know, the stock market crashed. And the Abbey was kind of left all alone. The Vandals kind of ran the place. They were made by the Rossbach Art Glass Studios, which was a early firm around the turn of the century, and they were located around the riverfront. And they were very well known. I think as Adolf Rossbach was actually president of the Stained Glass Association for some years. Greenlawn Abbey Preservation Association formed in about 2006 when we put up a website. And we just started finding people who would drive by and they'd Google it and they'd say, hey, I want to help. And that just started a grassroots movement to bring this place back to life.
The windows were not installed with any kind of framing. They had granite to the outside, marble to the inside. So the granite and the marble are holding these windows in place. Without any kind of framework, basically the marble from the interior of the building had to be pulled off the walls to be removed so we could remove the window.
Over the years, as some of them were broken, because like I said, the vandals did a lot of damage. Some of the windows now are also just collapsing under their own weight. I guess stained glass windows are meant to be maintained about every 75 years or so. They need to be re-leaded and re-supported. So we got really busy, and we were very fortunate, got a few donations and some grants, and were able to restore 4 of the worst windows. But with almost 60 stained glass windows, because we're covering 2 floors, that's a lot of windows to take care of and maintain.
We want to get our hand underneath.
All the way to the bottom?
Yeah. About third.
What they're doing, you can see they're hand-made it by the rebar, because that's what's giving the window a lot of.
Inside this building are the people who built and shaped Columbus, and they were very philanthropic. And so you get to know these people, and then it becomes like more than just the building. You know, we have a 5-time mayor here in Columbus. Howard Thurston, who is an internationally famous magician. In his time, he was much bigger than Harry Houdini. A couple of the Sells brothers, very prominent in Columbus history. We have Max Stern. He was an early entrepreneur in the arts. And later on, he was involved with Olentangy Amusement Park and later owned the Columbus Southern Theater. As a theater owner, King Kong came in. And in King Kong, there was just the barest glimpse of Fay Wray's breast. And the man was appalled. So he wouldn't show the movie. And then people started following Max Stern's lead. And they would say, before Hollywood sent them a movie, they'd say, would Max Stern approve it? And then he helped formalize that then into the rating system that later became popular.
We're going to look over all the pieces of glass that we're replacing, make sure we keep with period, we keep with the neo-Gothic application of the paints and the pigments of the glass. Well, it's great that we get a chance to work with Rossbach Windows. You know, Rossbach opened his business in Columbus in around 1908. I know that because I believe the 1913 flood almost decimated him. It really destroyed most of his art studio. But it kind of probably gave him his influence in what design he used. He took a lot of the Gothic type of art where he used a lot of small, very sharp colored pieces with heavy paint texture, but then at the same time he would take, like as you can see in this face, and give almost an iconic iconography look where the elongated nose and but at the same time the flowing hair, he pulled the two together in that neo-Gothic look. Eager is putting down a stipple mat on the glass. As you can see, we've developed a tool that gives us the right texture of the background stipple. Once he's got that stippling down, we'll actually fire that glass in the kiln. We'll bring it up to about 1200 degrees, heat that glass and the paints together, and then his next step will be to do the solid black inlays, giving the design in the glass, as you can see. So we start with the first stippling, that's one firing. Then we come to the black outlining, that gives us our figures, and then we'll move on to where we stain the glass. He only had his studio in Columbus up to World War II, so that's really a short period of time when you look at the overall time of stained glass. Now, working with some of his artwork gives you that feeling that you're touching that time frame. You know, I'm actually getting to help him with his original legacy that he's left.
I just feel like everybody here was kind of abandoned. And so I feel it's part of our role now to bring this building back to life, tell these people's story, so it's not forgotten.
Our house has a lot of stained glass, but a few years ago, one piece was in a lot of trouble and needed restoration. We went to Studio Arts and Glass, and they did such an amazing job. My husband and I started talking about commissioning an original piece for our front door. We've decorated our house in the medieval style, so we talked to Wendy about adapting a medieval design. They even managed to feature my husband, myself, and our 2 dogs. We're so thrilled with the outcome, we just can't put it into words. If you need restoration or a new piece of glass, I can't give you a better recommendation than go to Studio Arts and Glass. They're easy to work with, they're creative, they do a fabulous job. You'll be thrilled.
Hi, I'm Bud from Akron, and this was my first time actually visiting a stained glass factory, I guess you'd call it. It was fascinating.
What Bob's doing here is he's made a rubbing of the stained glass window. We do that on a template paper with a graphite pencil. So when Bob dismantles this window, he will cut apart the old lead. As he removes that lead, you can see the piece of glass will actually pop out, so then he can very gently clean that glass with a razor blade, with steel wool, and make sure all that old glazing compound is removed from the glass. That's the first step in cleaning the stained glass window.
When my wife said we're going to be touring a stained glass shop, I thought, oh, okay, that sounds like it'd be fairly interesting, but I got to tell you, once we got here, I had no idea it was so intricate. I mean, I've seen stained glass all my life, and I've seen the pictures of the brilliant cathedrals, both in Europe and here in the States, but I had no idea it was so intricate, that of the artistry involved.
This is Igor Semenyuk. Igor has been with us for years. Igor is a very talented craftsman who makes stained glass windows. He's now assembling a window with all new lead cane. That lead cane is in an H shape, like an I-beam, and the glass will fit on each side of that H. And he will actually cut the lead to shape and bend it. Lead is very pliable, so we can bend it around the curves of the stained glass window. He's using
I suppose the one that, the glazing station was the one that really kind of was an aha moment, because it never occurred to me that you just couldn't put this glass into a piece of lead and it would be airtight and seal out the weather. And it was fascinating to watch how they actually get the glazing compound into the window and then clean the window off so that when it goes up and the sun streams through it, you get the absolutely fantastic and beautiful effect that we're used to seeing as a final product, but to see these craftsmen actually work it.
We make our glazing compound up of things like boiled linseed oil, Portland cement. He's forcing that with his brute strength underneath those lead channels. He takes the whiting, which is called calcium carbonate, the same thing you make Tums out of, and he will take a hard bristle brush and actually polish the glass. So he will remove the glazing compound from the surface of the glass.
Well, I've gone on a number of tours with my wife, and we've seen a bunch of places, and usually it's, oh, well, that's nice. But I must admit, after visiting Studio Arts and Glass, I was thinking, wow, it'd be really cool to have that window in our living room with a, really nice stained glass piece. And I think we'll probably be talking to them about it because it was really impressive. And now that I know what goes into it, it would be just the most wonderful piece of art to hang in our home that I could think of.